so I'll be seeing you at the courthouse end of January. Yeah, we have a racial fairness commission still. Yeah. Well, thank you. How was your holiday? Well, Happy New Year to you. I know. I know. Yeah, I do. I moved downtown. Yeah, I live in Camden, Maine now. So I moved into a condo.
Oh, wow.
Right there, Lily. Yeah.
Who can you walk?
You might run into me. Well, if we ever want to go get margaritas and stuff, we go to Wild Ritas.
Isn't that a great place?
You know what? I like the margaritas. I like the tacos and guac. I'm not tacos, the chips and guac. But I'm not a big fan of the rest of the food. It is loud, isn't it?
We've got acoustic.
Yeah. Well, thank God I'm drinking. Yes.
I'll tell you what, somebody just needs to be convinced to put a grocery store right downtown.
You know, I thought they said they were going to do that.
There was talk about it.
What happened to that?
In fact, somebody told me, I got close enough that a realtor that I thought was pretty well connected told me that Trader Joe's was going to go in on East Main and evaporate that. Instead of going there, they sprung up out at Shilling Road Plaza.
Yeah. Well, they could do another one downtown.
Yes, they could.
They could
And
do
still
two Trader
be in
Joe's.
business. Be in business.
Yes. Yes, they could. Well, you know, there's a... Hi! How are you? Good seeing you.
Hi, Rosemary Miller. Nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to do one there on, was it 2nd Street or 3rd Street with old water? But then I haven't heard anything else recently. Hello, how are you? I'm doing good. Haven't seen you since campaign trail.
I know it. I know it. You do such a good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? Yeah, you will. You will find the inner strength. I'm here. I'll tell you what, I don't know how Metro Council does it, honestly. Because in terms of such a big group of people, and it's so, it seems to me, because this is a lot of this is based on having trusted relationships with them. And that's a lot of people.
Sometimes it seems as if they don't. You have to really look at that.
Yeah.
You really think that's important.
Okay, thank you.
It's amazing to me that around 7 o'clock, a hush falls over the room. Nobody has to say anything. So thank you so much for being here tonight. Call the meeting to order. At 5 p.m., the Board of Education met in executive session to discuss the formative evaluation of the superintendent, and no action was taken. Okay. At 3 o'clock, the board met with representatives from Dean Dorton, Allen, Ford to discuss the internal audit services. And then at 4 o'clock, we did the work session to discuss the draft budget for the fiscal year 2015-16. And we did meet an executive session at 5 o'clock. We will have a moment of silence, the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will have the oath of office. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. And in case you haven't noticed, we've changed the seating arrangement because the superintendent is our CEO. She is the center of the workforce here, so she has been moved to the center. So I hope you noticed that it was intentional. It wasn't that we forgot where we were supposed to sit. So having said that, if you could please join me in a moment of silence, and then we will excuse me, stand for the pledge. Please stand for the pledge. This is a special night for some of us, and we are happy to say that the oath of office this evening will be administered to District 1 School Board Member Diane Porter, Stephanie Horn, School Board Member for District 3, Linda Duncan, School Board Member for District 5, and Lisa Wilner for School Board District for District 6. This evening we're pleased to have Kentucky Court of Appeals Judge Denise Clayton to administer the oaths of office. Judge Clayton is the first black woman to serve on the Kentucky Court of Appeals. She has served as a Kentucky Circuit Court judge and a judge in the district and family courts in Jefferson County, and is active in many professional and community organizations. Among her numerous awards, Judge Clayton received the 2012 Distinguished Judge Award given by the Kentucky Bar Association. She received the Louisville Bar Association's Justice William E. McAnulty Jr. Trailblazer Award, the Louisville Chapter NAACP Meritorious Service Award, and an award from Who's Who in Black Louisville. Thank you, Judge Clayton, for assisting with the installation of our board. If the newly elected board members will come forward, I would ask Judge Clayton to administer the oaths of office.
contract with or claim against the board, and that I will not in any way influence the hiring or appointment of district employees, except the hiring of the superintendent of schools and the board attorney. Do you so swear? Congratulations.
I want to thank Judge Clayton again and say for anyone that was not listening and for it to be recorded that she is a graduate of the historic Central High School. And we're very proud of that because it is a law and government magnet, and they now have a courtroom at Central High School. So, and it just happens to be in District 1. So thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight. We said we would give a break for pictures. Are there family pictures to be made right now? Pictures? Lisa? Okay. I'm going to slip over and, but is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you.
Is that good? Get a picture of my kid, the old man. Can I stay? That makes it look good. It's the old wine and the new wine. You have to send us pictures.
I want to acknowledge the ladies of the Louisville chapter of Links that were here to support me tonight. I see they're beginning to sneak out the door, but thank you, Link sisters, for being here for the swearing in. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. At this time, we are going to give a few seconds to board members if they want to recognize family or make brief remarks, and we'll start with Ms. Duncan.
Well, I'd like to recognize my husband, Dr. John Duncan. He's sitting there in the front row, and I brought him some candy so he could stay.
Okay.
My mother, Eugenia Wilner, is here, and my husband, John Scruton, seated with my very good friends, Patty Canapple and John Grossman, who've been, all have been tremendously supportive. And also a hello to Bishop Dennis Lyons for being here with me tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Steph?
I think mine left already, but I will recognize my mother, Janet, and my dad, Terry, and my husband, Andrew.
I'd like to recognize my daughter, Alicia Danielle Porter, who's here this evening, and all of my extended family. I have no siblings, but as you can see, I have lots of family. So I appreciate you being here tonight, and Dr. Cosby, very much appreciate your presence in the audience. We are prayed up. I asked him, probably not supposed to say that, but I said it anyway. So we're good to go for the evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. This is an important moment in our lives, so thank you for your participation tonight. And Representative Darrell Owens, thank you for making the effort to be here. Thank you so much for that. So now I have to get back on script, or else they'll be mad. This organizational meeting of the Board of Education of Jefferson County is convened in accordance with KRS 160.160, which requires boards of education to elect a chairman and a vice chairman for terms fixed by the board not to exceed 2 years. Board policy BCA requires that this be done annually at the first regularly scheduled board meeting held in January. Therefore, the officers so elected shall serve a 1-year term or until their successors are elected and duly qualified. I will call for nominations from the board for chairperson to serve a 1-year term. After all nominations for chairperson have been made, I will close nominations. I will call for a vote on the candidate nominated by a show of hands. The votes will be taken in the order in which the candidates were nominated. At the conclusion of the voting, I will declare, assuming a candidate has a majority, the individual receiving the largest number of votes to be elected chairperson. The newly elected chairperson shall similarly conduct the election of the vice chairman. At this time, I would like to call for nominations for chairperson of the Board of Education. Mr. Brady.
I would like to nominate David Jones Jr.
Okay, is there a second to that nomination? Mr. Hadaway. Any other nominations from the board? Okay, I can close the nomination. At this time, all those in favor of David Jones Jr. becoming the chairperson of the board, please indicate by raising your hand. It's unanimous decision. Mr. Jones Jr., congratulations. You are now the chairperson of the board. It is my honor and privilege to pass the gavel.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Porter. I'm going to have to get used to not saying Chair Porter, but I appreciate it. Let's go through the election of the vice chair, and then I will have a couple of additional remarks. I would like to call now for nominations for vice chairperson. Lisa.
I'd like to nominate Diane Porter as vice chair.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mr. Hadaway seconds. All in favor? Aye. Okay, that was also unanimous. So the board is newly organized, and I think it appropriate that we start by reviewing the vision of this district and of this board. And Ms. Porter, would you read our vision statement for us?
Our vision statement for the Jefferson County Public School District is all JCPS students graduate prepared to reach their full potential and contribute to our society throughout life.
Thank you. I'd like to say a few words, and then I will conclude with a motion to change the agenda order around a little bit so that we can hear next from Dr. Hargens, since we are constituting a new board on this day. First, I want to thank all of my fellow board members for their trust, their encouragement, and their support. As I take on this role, I am keenly aware that as a school board, we have a major responsibility to the public. The governance this body provides, the expectations we set, and the priorities we pursue set the tone for the whole system and create the conditions under which our superintendent, our principals, and our teachers can ensure that all students learn. Our newly constituted board finds itself at a real inflection point. The district, in some ways, is really hitting its stride, with annual gains in student achievement moving us from, in 2010, the 6th percentile in Kentucky to last year, the 51st percentile in Kentucky. These increases in academic success are historic, and they're almost unbelievable nationally for a big urban school district. Almost no other district is showing the progress that Jefferson County Public Schools are showing. We also inherit, as board members from our predecessor board, a strong positive relationship of partnership and candor with Dr. Hargens, the superintendent. And I want to thank our colleague Diane Porter for her chairmanship, during which there are a lot of wonderful accomplishments, but that relationship of candor and openness with the superintendent is something that I think we all are very grateful for, and we owe our former colleagues on this board a thanks as well. But every member of this board sought election because we know we've got to do better. We know that even with the improvements spelled out in the state accountability scores, less than half of our students are proficient in reading and math. And we know that at each board meeting, we sit in front of a reminder hidden at the moment behind that screen that says JCPS is shaping the future. When Dr. Hargens first came here, she was told by one of our business leaders that as JCPS goes, so goes Louisville. And if our students don't thrive, our community cannot prosper in the years ahead. So the superintendent and the board have driven progress since Dr. Hargens' arrival by executing on a strategy called Vision 2015. And as we notice when we still tell each other Happy New Year, it's now 2015. During our new board member orientation, and Ms. Horn and Ms. Wilner have gone through about 8 or 9 hours so far of orientation, maybe more. Certainly they've dug in pretty deep. But one of the things that Dr. Hargens made two things very clear. First of all, we're in the middle of the execution phase of this strategy. And we need to drive performance through these tactics, through what's spelled out in here, to continue to get improvement. But second, doing what we've done to get us here is not going to be enough to get us where we want to go from here. That's a direct Hargensism, I think. So new strategies and tactics are needed to drive us forward to achieve our vision of every student graduating prepared for life, and to get us to our broader goal of being the best urban district in America. So Dr. Hargens has called for this board to work with her to set a new vision, a Vision 2020, and that's probably our biggest work ahead in this calendar year. So from conversation with each of you board members, I know that the sense of this board is that we're up for this, that we intend to not only to ask the district to change as necessary to accomplish our goal, but to change our own practices as needed as a board. And in accepting this position of chair, I commit to you, my colleagues, that I have heard loud and clear the sense of this board that we must improve the way we do our business so that we will do well the three essential elements of governing a big organization like this. Okay? We've got to monitor operational improvement, we've got to set strategic vision, and we've got to assure compliance with all the rules and the laws that, that shape what we do every day. So in conversation with each of you, my colleagues, I've learned that all of us are determined to do more than to sit in headquarters and simply listen to reports. We need to find the time to question what's going on, to learn what's happening here and in other places in the country, and to question so that we are prepared for the big decisions that lie ahead. Because no big urban district in America has achieved the goal of every student graduating prepared for life. That is blue sky territory to aim at. So we've got to create the accountability that empowers the change agents in our schools and on our management team who are going to be the ones that reach our students. So I want to throw out 3 structural changes that my sense is this board would like to try. We'll elaborate on them further and more formally as we go ahead. But they're aimed at aligning the board's time with the goals that we are asking management, principals, teachers to deliver. First, we want to change the location of some of our board meetings to bring us into the schools. And what I propose is that we try to do that once a month for 3 months and then take a look at how effective it's been. The next meeting I'm going to make as a motion at the end of this little talk is that we meet at Valley High School on January 26th. The purpose of this is the students and the schools are the center of the JCPS universe. The central office is vitally important, but it's not the center of the universe, and we need to get out and about and have broader contact with the community, highlight the strengths and challenges of what's going on in our schools, and create shared experiences with each other someplace other than around this board table so that we'll be better prepared for making decisions about schools. Second, we're going to form ourselves into project-based teams to work with the superintendent and senior leadership to dive deeper into some of the key issues and create deeper board understanding about the critical strategic drivers of progress. In JCPS lingo, think of these as board professional learning communities, board PLCs. One of them will be around finance, where the question really is, what data does the board need and in what form, so that we can think about a Vision 2020 and how we're going to fund it? Because in 2020, we got to be doing things different than we're doing in 2015, and that implies different people or new people or more technology, and we got to get the money together. Second, we're going to have a technology utilization team that will ask what new competencies the district must build to serve 21st century stakeholders, and how the board can set and measure progress along that route. That will involve working with management to figure out what are the questions, what are the things that we should begin to build into our workflow so that we can measure and assess change as well as drive it by setting the goal. And then the third, which is a more familiar group, but a third PLC will focus on policy and pedagogy. Our policy manual has been largely brought up to date through the hard work of our colleague Linda Duncan over the last several years, and we've got the basics in tune, but the framework through which we're going to teach, the kinds of issues that are coming up today with contemporary learners are new, and we're going to need to decide which ones to grapple with. So, for example, we hear loud and clear from our teachers that the emphasis on high-stakes accountability testing is limiting creativity and constraining the ability to reach some of our students. Now, we need the data as a board from these tests. We depend on it. But if we're not really measuring deeper learning, that's something that between now and 2020, we're going to have to figure out how to get after. Those are just examples. These individual work groups will pick their own recommended priorities and help the board, by breaking up the workflow, identify what we want to do. So that was the second change, these working groups or PLCs. The third change relates to the quality of our work together as board and management, and this is really a request of Dr. Hargens and our management colleagues in the room. We learned last February, the board did, from an audit of how the board spends its time in meetings, that compared to the highest performing school boards, we spend too much time on what they call management inquiry and not enough time on goal monitoring. And this board is determined to change that. But to do that, we need the support of management and a change in the way we get information. If we're going to avoid deep dives into micromanagement, we're going to need you to enhance both the quality and the candor of your presentations. We need your reporting to focus on the fact that you're the experts, and you need to not just dump data on us, but tell us what it means and what you recommend we should do about it. We all are ready to take a pledge that we'll do our homework ahead of time. We will read the documents that are on the wonderful board portal, and we will be prepared. So you don't have to read your slides to us. You have to summarize, and you have to tell us what it means and what action you recommend. Again, we know we're going to push through into this miraculous no big district has gone there space, and we can only get there if you guys are willing to, you know, to be bold in making recommendations. So in closing, I am confident that JCPS has a great year ahead. I feel the momentum. I think we're going to get a lot more mileage out of Vision 2015. And I thank each of my colleagues for your service on this board, for your willingness to do it, and for your election of me as chair. And I just want to express the full board's excitement about working with all the wonderful people in JCPS to achieve our vision and our dream. So that is the end. Apologize for the wordiness, but I thought it worth kind of summarizing where I think this new board wants to go. I am now going to make a motion that will have the effect of moving the superintendent's report up next and coming back to the consent agenda items, because I think it would be great to hear from Dr. Hargens next. So I move to waive board policy 1.45, board meeting agenda, and amend the agenda to move agenda item 7A, district strategic focus, up to this point in the agenda. Is there a second? Mr. Hadaway, all in favor? Aye. Okay, unanimous. So, Dr. Hargens.
Thank you, Chair Jones. And actually, it's a pleasure, and I love what you said about going into a space that no district has gone before, because that's what Vision 2015 is about. So what I want to do is just review where we've been on the journey. We began in the 11-12 school year with a curriculum management audit, truly an audit, looking at standards and where we compare to the standards, and how do we align our work for a laser focus around learning. You'll recall that the reviewers looked at documents, interviewed people, and actually visited every school in the system. And as an elected official observed, the city of Louisville and Jefferson County cannot prosper without a strong public school system. So it's all about quality control and alignment. Are we crystal clear about what we want to achieve? Do we have a way to measure if we're achieving it? And the taught part, do we direct every ounce of energy of this district toward ensuring that every student learns what's expected? So what the auditors did is compared what they saw against the standards. They came up with evidence and findings, but they came also up with 10 recommendations and presented them in order of criticality about what we needed to do to move the district forward. The first thing they said is reorganize administrative services to support the center of the universe, which is schools. Second, review board policies to make sure that they provide direction for our employees. Third, redesign the planning process so there's a coherent focus from the boardroom to the classroom. Then 4 through 8 were all about learning, making the main thing, making sure that there is more effective instruction in every classroom more of the time. So the meat of those recommendations is make sure that there is work done toward quality instruction in every classroom. And then number 9, because you have to have the organization in place, you have to have the system and structure in place, is make sure that we're providing equal access and opportunities to impact student achievement. And now it's about eliminating the achievement gap, now that we have the strategy and the structures in place. And 10, and we talked about that in our work session, are we putting dollars where it makes the most difference in student learning? But we weren't just satisfied with 26 external auditors. We sent groups of community members out to the community to say, what's working in Jefferson County? And we read about what was working throughout the nation and what was moving student achievement forward. But we found the answer in Jefferson County as we looked at the schools that were getting increased achievement, that there must be a focus on learning, that you have to use data and that has to inform your choices, that teachers are professionals, so collaboration and feedback and support are important. We know that there has to be strong school leadership in every school, and that it's all about culture and climate, high expectations for all students. So out of that, the recommendations from the auditors, our research, and our own visit to schools within the system that are working was born Vision 2015. Job number one was to reorg, to align, to support the strategy. So you have to have a strategy and you have to have a structure that supports it. So what you see in front of you are the 6 divisions or the cabinet members that make up the superintendent's cabinet. Also integral to the reorganization were 6 achievement area superintendents that represent probably 22 to 24 schools. So they are in the schools all the time, making sure that the board strategy is being implemented. We also added, from the recommendation of the auditors, an ombudsman to make sure that there was a place to go for every employee and every parent if they weren't able to navigate the system, to ensure that everyone has an avenue to be treated fairly. And last year we added a director of strategy, actually the beginning of this year, Jonathan Lowe. He doesn't create the strategy, the board created the strategy. He works on making sure that we're actually implementing the strategy and staying on track. So what we did this year, the first year was about strategy and beginning the structure. The structure started July 1st, 2012. So we've only been in this structure for two and a half years. But then it's about focus. Make sure that everyone in the system understands the 4 focus areas and understands the elements of Vision 2015. And this was important because it focused on what was working, which will be a springboard for beyond 2015 and a Vision 2020. But we won't get to be the best urban district in the nation if we all don't get better. So important and integral to this work are the professional growth and effectiveness systems. There's a system for teachers, there's a system for principals, and there's even a system for the superintendent. So how do we support our greatest resource, which is our employees? And our employees is where we spend the most money. It is the biggest part of what we do. So if you look at the timeline, in a very short period of time, we began with an audit and review of what was working in our district. We restructured, and then we undertook other external reviews like a magnet review and the state audit, so that we were able to, based on our experience, streamline Vision 2015. So we are perfectly poised right now, starting this semester, this second half of the year, to look beyond 2015 toward Vision 2020 with this board. John Murdoch, who was the lead auditor when this journey began, said that, and he was very optimistic, that this community and that these employees and that this district can be the district that becomes the best urban district. So he had complete faith. And in fact, when I said to somebody, "Isn't Louisville great? It's the possibility city," they looked at me and said, "It's not the possibility city, it's the probability city. If you do these things and engage the community, the probability that you will be successful will be there." So how's that working for us? As Chair Jones said, we are now at the 51st percentile, and you see the climb. Our achievement results are increasing, the most encouraging being the first bars. We were 647 students, right, Dr. Radowski, away from achieving the target, which means we're on track to reach 100% proficiency with our elementary students. That's exciting work and exciting results. We know that every subgroup is achieving more, but we also know that that is not acceptable, that we have the gaps in student achievement, and that's where our work is focusing on. what do we do to eliminate those gaps? So we need, now that we have established what works in a strategy, we need to make sure that effectiveness is reaching every student and every student is benefiting. We met our KDE target 2 years in a row. College and career readiness has gone up by 28.5 percentage points in that period of time. And Dr. Radowski taught us that that's over an 80% increase in college and career readiness. And we met our graduation target. But again, Ms. Porter read the vision. All JCPS students graduate prepared. That is not all. That meets the target, but it's not all. So our work is certainly not done, and we're certainly not satisfied, even though that is progress. So we are moving in the right direction and look forward, though, to beyond 2015 and what happens with 2020. And actually, I would also like to congratulate Ms. Porter, Ms. Duncan, Dr. Wilner, and Ms. Horn, and thank Judge Clayton for the honor of being here to do the official swearing in. But I'd like to thank all 7 of the members of the Board of Education for their service. I'm proud to be part of the Superintendent Board team. The Panasonic Foundation found that real school improvement occurs when the school board and superintendent are unwavering in their vision of a better district and are conscious that they are mutually dependent for making that vision a reality. Research also points to the importance of the board asking the right questions and focusing on the right issues, constantly pushing the system forward. So we're grateful to be at this point, but there's lots of great work to be done. And I'll stop here because, do you want me to go right into the consent agenda?
No,
Okay.
I think, thank you, Dr. Hargens. I think we'd like to stop here for a moment. We have one recognition now related to the new board, and then we will offer our guests the opportunity to leave. With apologies, I thought it would be good to keep them here to hear the introduction. So yes, please, we have a recognition.
Approve the minutes.
We have to approve the minutes too.
Yeah, we'll get that.
Dr. Hargens, tonight we have the honor of recognizing our distinguished Board of Education members in observance of National School Board Recognition Month. This is a time for students, parents, staff, and the community to join together to recognize our board for their outstanding leadership, dedication, and contributions to JCPS students. Our board works tirelessly to ensure a successful learning environment and to ensure that all JCPS students graduate prepared for college and beyond. They work collaboratively with work together with organizations and other community members to bring programs into schools that will enhance the educational experience of all students. Our board members are visionaries, strong advocates, and champions devoted to providing unique learning opportunities for our students and to making a better tomorrow by ensuring a successful education for all students. They also work hard to encourage and engage parents and the community to be involved in helping to guarantee a prosperous future for our children, our future leaders, and to ensure that they will be great contributors to our community and the world. Dr. Hargens, can you please come forward to extend thanks and appreciation to our board members? Board Vice Chair Diane Porter, will you please come forward? Thank you. Board Chair David Jones Jr., please come forward. Thank you. Board Member Stephanie Horn in District 3, will you please come forward? Board Member Chuck Hadaway, please come forward. Thank you. Board Member Linda Duncan, will you please come forward? Board Member Lisa Wilner, please come forward. And Board Member Chris Brady, will you please come forward? Dr. Hargens and members of the Jefferson County Board of Education, this concludes our recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this point, it is, actually before this point, it is customary to invite any guests who would like to leave to please do so. We'll take about a 2-minute break while people stand up. Before that, however, I want to acknowledge my wife, Mary Gwen Wheeler, if she is still here with us. She may have slipped away. I guess she did. And also my pastor, Reverend Kevin Cosby. I thank you all for joining us tonight. Okay, let's take 2 minutes. Anyone who wants to leave, do, and then we'll come back with the rest of the board's agenda. Okay.
So, Chair Jones. No, they're supposed to be approved at the next meeting, so we didn't approve the minutes. Okay, so you got it. Okay, good. Didn't do that either, which is less important, but. Mr. Jones.
Well, Chair Porter stops being chair, and then the cats all run off. So
You're on your own.
now the hard part begins.
You're on your own.
I don't. I don't know. Okay, so I'm new at this, and I forgot to ask for a motion to receive the recognition. So is there such a motion? Mr. Brady, is there a second? All right, Ms. Horn, all in favor, aye. The next thing, and this I didn't forget about, we just moved it, but the minutes of the previous meeting have been distributed ahead of time. We've all had the opportunity to read them. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Mr. Brady, second? Okay, Mr. Hadaway, all in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Unless I have forgotten something else, I think now we move to the consent agenda. And Dr. Hargens, do you have any additional report to make at the beginning of that agenda?
Just briefly.
Okay, thank you.
Chair Jones, members of the board, just some attention to a few items of special interest. What I want to point out in the consent agenda is I appreciate the collaboration with the Jefferson County Teachers Association in developing agreements for staffing at the K-8 Waldorf-inspired Maupin School, the K-8 Louisville Reach Academy at Atkinson, and Kennedy Metro Elementary. And I want to say to the board that Dr. Razor will be bringing a recommendation for relocating the alternative school, Kennedy Metro. It is an important and necessary alternative school and will be relocated. As we've talked about, the state auditor recommended improving our internal audit services. The board approved a contract with the firm Dean Dorton. This is an example of how we are moving and improving. Dean Dorton will report functionally to the board to ensure the principle of independence. Feedback is a valuable tool for student and employee growth. I appreciate the board's investment in time in providing me with formative feedback. Our goal is for every student and every employee to be better tomorrow than they were today. Chair Jones, at this time, I recommend the consent calendar for the board's consideration.
Very good, thank you. Are there items on the consent agenda that people would like to discuss further? Ms. Duncan?
I'd like to bring down K just a minute.
I'm sorry, bring down which?
K.
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 Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Duncan, would you?
Well, this is the Compassionate Schools project, and I think it's a $230,000 grant, but I just wish that Dr. Hargens would talk a little bit more about what we can expect from this grant.
Okay,
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. Actually, this is about using what we know research, what works, to build capacity within our students to enable them to become self-regulating. So it's about developing skills in the context of the current standards to help our students become, again, self-regulating and well. So it's about internal capacity in our students. So this is a wonderful opportunity. The University of Virginia certainly has a wonderful reputation, and this will be research and evidence-based, but it's for the benefit of our students.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other matters? Okay, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda? Okay, Mr. Brady, a second. Ms. Wilner? All in favor? Aye. Oops. Okay, unanimous. Okay, the consent agenda is adopted. So there are no action items this evening, and we have moved forward Dr. Hargen's presentation on the strategic focus. So we now move to the Board of Education discussion agenda planning calendar. Are there any comments on that? Yes, Mr. Hadaway.
After hearing your statement, I would like to move that the next, the January 26th school board meeting will be held at Valley High School in District 4.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that? Okay, Ms. Horn, any discussion? Yes, Mr. Brady.
I just wanted to, in the interest of clarity and transparency, may call on the superintendent to discuss the financial impact that moving the meeting to a school might have what the differences might be between having it here at Van Hoos versus having it at Valley High School, in interest that I know that question's been brought up in the media, and I thought that's something that should be addressed by us.
Absolutely. And Mr. Brady, actually what I would like to say also though is how purposeful this is. Moving board meetings occasionally to a school site takes the important governance work of the board to the center of the universe, a school. We have created a list and will only focus on schools that have the infrastructure to support such meetings, which of course makes there little to no cost. And we are lucky that those sites are found throughout the district. And meetings will, of course, and we want to assure you, will be televised. We were able to accomplish this idea of off-site board meetings with minimal expense. We are purchasing an encoder decoder for $2,300 that allows us to do live TV broadcasts from any JCPE site. So it builds capacity beyond just off-site board meetings. Not only will this technology facilitate the broadcasting of board meetings, but it will allow for enhanced communication with our community students and staff. So we will utilize that piece of equipment for many more things than board meetings. So minimal to no expense.
Thank you. And if I might add one other comment, this is a discussion item that we have been discussing for a little bit of time now as to try and have a way to re-engage of our community. So if the question is, why are we trying to take it away from a facility that is centrally located within a county, as some have actually asked me questions about, it's not a question of doing that so much as it is trying to get the board back into the schools, and also getting into areas where that the community may not generally have access to coming, or may not have the ability to come all the way here to Van Hoos. And one of the things that we're looking at when we choose these locations is not just whether or not we have the capacity or infrastructure to support it, but also whether or not public transportation will also reach those particular schools. So that's something that we're trying to do as a measure to engage directly with the community. So that's something that I thought I'd just toss out there because it really wasn't addressed in the comments, but this is something that I think is one way that you're seeing this board refocus, not just on the student voice and the student aspect of this, but also on the community and parent aspect of this, to try and engage the community and foster more relationships and more communication. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Ms. Duncan?
Well, I just hope that in the future, when we think about a decision like this, we give it a little more time to talk about it. I have not been a part of a discussion of this moving of the meetings, and I'm just concerned about the inconvenience that it presents, especially to speakers who want to. This is more of a central location for them than trying to locate us in some school away from here. So I'm concerned about the inconvenience for our staff and for everybody, and I'm sitting trying to imagine the benefit of we have a meeting in a building someplace and how that benefits us some way with that building. So, you know, I just wish we would have talked about this a little bit before, so that I could have heard some of those thoughts about why you wanted to do something different. But I'm just not convinced it's got positives on it, but you know, I'm just one person.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? I would just reiterate the hope will be that the first meeting in the school works technologically and logistically, and that we will try to do maybe 3 or 4 such meetings and then reconnoiter as a board and ask ourselves, is the learning that we're gaining and the different way of contacting the community a plus or a minus overall, as Ms. Duncan says. I think it's fully appropriate that we test something and then evaluate whether it is productive. So that will be the plan. And I think that is that. However, I did neglect one other chairmanly duty, which is I need to ask for a motion to receive Dr. Hargan's report, which we heard. Okay, Mr. Hadaway?
No, Chair Jones?
Yes, please.
I have a motion on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. You do have a motion on the floor. And there's a second from Ms. Porter. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, 6-1 with Ms. Duncan opposing. Thank you, Mr. Hadaway. All right, now is there a motion to receive the superintendent's report? Mr. Brady? Ms. Porter? All in favor? Aye. Very good. Passes unanimously. The next item is persons who have requested to address the board on non-agenda items. And we have 4 folks. I will call your name and invite you up here. You have 3 minutes to speak to the board. At the end of 2.5 minutes, a bell will sound warning you that you have 30 seconds left. And at the end of the full 3 minutes, there will be 2 bells. And we thank you very much for being here to share your concerns or views. The first speaker is Rick Hancock with Voice of Louisville. Mr. Hancock. Please, you can either sit or stand, whatever is your pleasure.
My legs give me a whooping up there. Yes, my name is Rick Howland.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry about it. It's not the first time.
I just can't read it.
I'm here as part of a group tonight, Voice of Louisville, Community, Unity in the Community. And we come to ask, especially since it's the first of the year, we have some new members of the board. To come here, our group is mainly west of Louisville, west of 9th Street. And I want to tell you, I really like the idea of having boards, school board meetings in various locations. There are many parts of the city that, because of the vagaries of TARC, transportation isn't available during evening hours necessarily at all parts of the city. I know we operate under the idea that everything is everything, but everything is not everything. And getting out here, getting into this part of town, if you're depending on public transportation on late, cold nights, it's kind of rough. And when we have some meetings in some of the facilities west of 9th Street, north of Shively, it would be a definite opportunity for some people that normally don't make board meetings to make them. So I want to give you some applause for that. You may recognize, usually when I come, I'm usually talking about charter schools. And I'm hoping that with the new makeup of the board, and I ain't going to back down, the new makeup of the board, that you guys will consider the value of having a system that would allow certain experimentation to take place on maybe on a smaller level, where the larger school system can affect a change in a quick period of time. Maybe certain opportunities for experimentation based on parental choice, based on public schools being sponsored with public money, being paid for with public, would be public schools, have to achieve the same standards. But it would allow certain opportunity for people to try some different and some new things that aren't available right now. We have a huge number of young people that are graduating unprepared when they hit the streets. Okay, there's no denying that. You know, it's even everybody's heard about the school to prison pipeline. It's not a joke. I sit in I call it my front yard. I sit in my front seat of my vehicle every day, and I watch young men and young women walk by really with nothing to do, trying to figure out what to do. Sometimes they have blank look in their eyes. Sometimes you can tell they've literally given up. And this is what I live with, is why I won't let it go. You know, the Board of Education, the Jefferson County Public School System, the Teachers Union, everybody needs to think of the needs of the children first. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Our next speaker is Bishop Dennis Lyons.
Hello, I'm Bishop Lyons of the Gospel Missionary Church, also president of the Voice of Louisville, and I'm just excited just to be here. This is my first time.
Wow.
And I've been around here for 64 years, and I'm from Newburgh, and I'm just glad to be in the house. I am excited for two reasons. First of all, I'm excited because Diane Porter has definitely been a great influence in the West End of Louisville, helping, fighting for us. And I want to say that I appreciate her work, and I'm here to support her as she takes on another tour of working for us in the West End, because my church and my funeral home is downtown. And then I'm also excited that we have a sister, amen, out in Newburgh. Y'all can tell I'm a preacher because I just said amen. Amen. I'm glad that I got a sister, Lisa Williter, that has taken on being a board member representing our Newburgh area. I'm a slave descendant of Newburgh. We are descendants of the Hikes family. And Saturday, we went over to the Hikes house where my foreparents were slaves over on Hikes Lane, and we sat down at the table and we just began to talk, and we developed so many things that we didn't know because we took time to sit down. And I think that one of the things that this board can do, especially with the black community, is to sit down, and what you just suggested, sit down with us, because there's a lot of things that I and my people didn't know about the school board. We don't know your policies, procedures, and people come around, like Rick says, charter schools, and all of a sudden we rang a bell, but we never did take time to find out what you all are doing in the black community. So hopefully we can have a new thing this year, that we can have unity in the community, and I hope that that unity in the community would be inclusive of the Jefferson County School Board. Last thing I want to ask the board to do is see what y'all can do about getting God back in the school. When I was in school, we had a Bible on the teacher's table. We said a pledge of allegiance, and we didn't have a silence, but we had prayer. Is that stop?
That's 30 seconds.
Oh, I can preach some more. All right. We used to have pledge of allegiance. We had prayer. Whatever y'all can do. I don't know how to tell you how to do it. I don't know if you can do it. But I think that would be something on the table that would be beneficial to our community if we can somehow get God back into our school system. I'm asking the chief of police and all of us in the community. That's it? All right. To get God back in it. Thank y'all so much. Y'all can tell I'm excited. God bless y'all.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. Our third speaker is Brent McKim, the president of the Jefferson County Teachers Association. Mr. McKim, you know the 3-minute drill.
Chair Jones, Superintendent Hargens, board members. First of all, on behalf of the Jefferson County Teachers Association, I want to congratulate all of the newly elected board members. I want to congratulate Chair Jones on his election as chair and Vice Chair Porter on her election. Looking forward to working with all of you over the next number of years. I wanted to speak to you because after the previous December work session, the association received numerous calls and emails from concerned members regarding class size reduction and the district potentially moving away from its commitment to the small class sizes in a number of our schools. And I wanted to share that we did hear those concerns, and I wanted to express my appreciation on behalf of the association, the members we represent, to the superintendent and the chief financial officer who reached out and met with us today and assured us that there was absolutely no interest or intent to reduce the number of teachers being used to reduce class size, nor the funds dedicated to that, which I understand are about $4.4 million. So that was a very reassuring meeting that we had, and we very much appreciated that. I wanted to also communicate that the association strongly believes in the value of reduced class size And we would point out that when we met earlier today, the superintendent shared with us a list of where our below proficient reading third graders are to be found. And this is a list where the highest number is the first on the list and it goes down. So this is one where you don't want to be number one. You want to be at the end of the list. And the cool thing was when we first implemented the small class size, we looked at lists like this to try to figure out where the priorities were for placing the small class size schools. And I'm really delighted to be able to say that I went through and I marked where those schools are today, and only one of the 11 reduced class size elementary schools is even in the top 25, and most of them are not even in the top 50% in terms of high numbers of below proficient. So I think that says a lot about how that is working. I wanted to also share with you that the association is interested in exploring how best to implement reduced class size. I know the superintendent indicated perhaps K through 3 would be a more effective focus than K through 5, and we'd certainly like to be at the table as we explore that. We think that may well be the case. And finally, we just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a memorandum of agreement in place for the 2 middle schools with reduced class size. So the way those are approached will have to be a little bit different from the other schools that are just reduced because of board policy. With that, thank you again for reaching out to us. Congratulations again to everyone. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McKim. I think the next item on our agenda is for me to ask for a motion to receive the planning calendar, which we did approve, but I forgot to ask about that too. So is there such a motion, Chris?
Well,
yeah, sorry, Linda.
Are we going to put something, I mean, if you have something to put on there first before we...
Is there, do you have a proposed change for the planning calendar?
Well, I don't see anything about program reviews on there, and I've been trying to go through that, and I think it needs to be on there somewhere formally for us to be informed of program reviews and our progress. And also, that annual report on attendance and suspensions, it needs to be a definite time that we hear how we've done over the year, and included in that would be those unexcused absences, what that looks like. But attendance and suspensions, we really need to take a look at that at the end of the year, and I would like to see that on there.
Do you want to, Dr. Harkins, do you want to respond to that?
Actually, we will put those on the list to add and incorporate into future meetings.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I think those are good call-outs. Is there anything else on the planning calendar? Yeah, Chuck.
Board request again, Chair Jones, if I could. Still looking for any migration trends of any of our teachers that are nationally certified.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you.
Yeah, that's a repeat, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Dr. Radowski, did we provide that? We will check, and if we will resend, because some people might not have gotten it. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the planning calendar? Yes, Ms. Porter. Mr. Brady, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, we now come to board reports and requests. And I believe Ms. Horn would like to start off.
Being a new board member, I have been starting to visit some of the schools in my district. And one of the schools is it's Bellwood. Jefferson County Public Schools has a school within Bellwood, which is a residential treatment center. And when I visited, this was about a month ago, it was an incredible visit. It really, what they're doing with the children there, they're elementary school. They now have elementary school children at Bellwood, and they may live at Brooklawn, which is now Euspiritus. So Euspiritus is both campuses. But at Bellwood, what they're doing is they have a program where they're using horticulture, math and science, and they grow poinsettias, and they also use art. They have an art instructor that is just phenomenal, and they work with Maryhurst, and the Maryhurst kids come over to the Bellwood campus too. So it's a real interesting, use of art and science and math through plants to really bring out the best in these really children who have been through a lot in our community. But I was inspired by them, and then I got a call recently, and that the art instructor there had also been inspired by the board and what we were, because I had just shared, how I had hopes for Jefferson County Public School and what we could do, what the possibilities were. So what the children have done for all of us is they made something for everybody. So I'll just pass it out. And Dr. Hargens, there's one for you too. And it's inspired by the new year. So, but I will tell you some of the accomplishments of these children. Bellwood took first, second, and third place in the JCTA Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Visual Arts Contest in December. The first place winner will receive a cash prize and is invited to a dinner. Bellwood created and submitted 2 entries into the Galt House Kaleidoscope Gingerbread House that they were displayed throughout the Kaleidoscope event. And they're submitting 4 entries into the Horsing Around Art Contest through the Kentucky Derby Museum. They also have an I Promise Garden to empower students to create a greener and brighter tomorrow through agriculture and horticulture. It's comprehensive and content-rich learning experiences that are going on. They collaborate with Maryhurst on the I Promise Garden. And they're also doing, using a hip-hop dance class to improve physical fitness, and they have a music therapist. Some of these things are just incredible, what's going on at Bellwood, and I just wanted to share it with the community. And to me, it was important, as one of the first schools that I to visit one, that would, in a sense, be, the children that were really, really in need. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, look what we're doing with these. It is a model that could be used to reach. They have small class sizes with these, very young elementary students. And it was just, it was really something that opened my eyes. So I just wanted to share it with you all too.
Thank you, Ms. Horn, and please pass back our appreciation of the artwork. And I hope our Chief Academic Officer and photographer will tweet out his picture so that everyone can see it. Are there any other board reports or information to share? Yeah.
I've got just 3 requests, and I think I've made these before, so well, not all of them, but one thing I wanted to request was the progress that we're making on the Equity Council and who is on that council and what has been done so far on that Equity Council. A second thing was the demographics of the elementary clusters, so that we see by groups, and I think Bob knows about that. And the third one was the just publicly make this request. I've already requested it from Dina, but on small class sizes, I want Dina is going to try to pull together data for us to show over the past several years their trends in ESL, their trends in ECE, their trends in free reduced lunch, and their trends in attendance and teacher retention, just to give us kind of a full picture, not just academic side of the schools, but a full picture of what small class size is dealing with, and how I think the achievement scores are reflecting the work that's going on there.
Thank you, Ms. Duncan. And if I could just add to that, there have been a number of requests in the work session earlier about the budget, and in some of the other commentary about small class sizes, I would suggest, Dr. Hargens, that that leadership make a suggestion about how we could wrap this issue, including the demographics, the cost, the outcomes, up in a way that can answer the many different perspectives through which the board is questioning what's going on with that. And let's figure out how to get that on the agenda in a work session or something. Okay? Who else? Yes, Ms. Porter.
Just wanted to talk a little bit about PLC that was held at Young Elementary, which is our IB program for elementary students. It's currently on the JCPS website, so if you'd like to look at some pictures. It was a wonderful opportunity for the community to come in to find more about Young, again, which is our elementary IB program. And also there is, at the beach, there's another coding session where we're bringing people in from the community and they are learning some technical skills, and that's going to be on January the 15th at 5 o'clock. So those are two events that have happened within the district. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the board again publicly. I did this in a little room, for allowing me to serve as chair, and also to thank the community for allowing me to serve as the District 1 representative on the Board of Education. Have this big sense of urgency, so I'll be pushing us along as we move forward. But I would be remiss if I did not also say that I'm sitting in this seat because there were many fine people that sat here before me. Just to name a few, Carl Hines, Lakin Cosby, Dr. Joyce Howe, Reverend Daniels, and Ann Elmore. So I'm thankful to them for the opportunity to be here. We do not get where we are by ourselves, and anybody that thinks that is really confused. So, and two other comments I had to make. 1986, I think it is, my mom gave me this book about success, and it says, the greatest thing in this world is not so much where we are, but in what direction we're moving. And we are moving. This Board of Education is moving, and this school district is moving. So I wanted to quote that tonight. It seemed like the appropriate time. And then my lovely daughter gave me this other book that had a quote in it from Samuel Coleridge, and you know we have a Coleridge-Taylor Montessori school. And the quote is real simple: nothing is insignificant. So what I would like to say is what we're doing, it is significant, but our children are very significant, and I'm honored to serve on this board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's hard to top, but Ms. Duncan, you want to?
Well, I won't top it, but one more report. You know, we went to 55,000 K program, to that program, and several of us were there, and one of the most exciting things that I heard from that program was what is being done at the college level to help support students and allow them to complete college, and that taking, instead of putting students in remediation classes, putting them then the regular classes, and then providing tutors for them so that they could support them through. And they had such a much higher success rate when they supported the students with tutors and child care and flexible scheduling for adult students. And I just was so excited to hear what colleges can do to help in this race to get 55,000 degrees in this community. But thank you.
Okay, Lisa?
I've also been visiting schools and have seen some really inspiring things going on and met some great teachers and some great students. But I'll just give one shout out, and that's to Ms. Celeste Braxton, who's the Family Resource Center Director at Lure Elementary. She invited me to her kickoff to get more dads and grandpas involved in the schools. So I was at Lure Elementary on a weeknight. It was really cold, and the cafeteria was completely full of dads and grandpas with their kids. And all of them were signing up to come back as regular volunteers. So that was just a really inspiring thing.
Great. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close with a word of thanks to Diane Porter for leading us and for finishing with such eloquent words. But I also want to close with a request that she help me understand this calendar, this agenda a little bit better, and when we have to make motions and all that. I promise by 2 weeks from now I'll be better at it. I think that is the end of our time together this evening. I intentionally had no interest at all in Bucks versus Ducks or Ducks versus Bucks or anything like that, but if anyone likes football, we're probably in time to see some of it. So is there a motion to adjourn? Yes, Mr. Brady moves. Ms. Wilner seconds. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Nice job.
Some of the